Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Comedian MTG. My name is Ian, and today I am joined by two fantastic guests, as well as members of the Comedian MTG Discord. First off, we have Dragun.
Hello, I'm Dragun.
And we have Gustav.
Hello, I'm Gustav. I've been a part of some gameplay videos on Ian's channel before, and I get to shield my deck now, so I'm happy.
Most notably on the Cody stream where you just beat up everybody.
Yeah, true.
Oh,
true.
yeah.
Yeah, if you want to see gameplay on the channel, that this deck specifically, the Cody stream is a good place to show off how little my Cody deck did and how much that this deck did. So, so let's talk about this deck. We are now rocking the name IKraum's Little Getaway. This deck has changed names a couple times now.
yeah. Like I think I find, like, at least me, I finally settled. I don't think Dragun ever really cared about the name. But the first iteration of the deck that we had was like based around Citadel and Doomsday, and that was called Citadel Doom.
Yeah.
And I think that was like the best name we had for it.
Fair.
And also, like, it comes close. It is the closest approximation of like the names like Open Steam.
So it's an IKraum deck, which is combination. Obviously, when we refer to IKraum, that's Honest's list is the original like IKraum 8 list, and that's sort of where that naming convention came from, but now everyone just kind of uses IKraum as IKraum nowadays. Yeah. So as you mentioned, Dragun Citadel, huge part of the deck, right? So do you wanna from your own words, sort of give a summation of what this deck is trying to do here?
Well, the deck, the way we started out was like after the last tier 1 con, tier 1.4, I believe.
Yep.
There were like 2 Esper Doomsday decks in the top 13.
Right.
And that like kind of inspired me and Dragun to like try and build a Doomsday deck of our own, but that wasn't Esper, but more like 4-color.
Right.
And tried to make something happen. And we eventually like settled on like Sans White, and like then we were like debating between Thrasios, File Smash, or IKraum.
Right.
And like we kind of just settled on IKraum due to the two aspects that are both very necessary in a game of cEDH, especially if you're using your life as a resource. Like, Crown gives you the cards you need to cast spells, and IKra gives you the life you need to like keep all the spells, all the things you want to do viable, even up to like turns 8, 9.
Right.
If you get there.
Right.
So that's like kind of how we settled on like IKraum, the commander pairs. Like just IKraum very solid, and IKra just in this deck very key to like the actual grind plan. Besides that, we just set up the deck as like a mid-range deck that we set the deck up as like a mid-range deck with turbo leanings.
Yeah.
But I think like the deck eventually evolved in more of a turbo deck with mid-range leanings.
Gotcha.
Yeah, when initially when I looking at the list beforehand, I was taking inspirations from like old man decks. Like the old Dan from Laboratory Maniacs used to build like these man style decks, so mid-range ad nauseam list. That's where I like took a bunch of inspiration, then like old legacy style and vintage style Doomsday lists that I personally worked on for years. And honestly, I never found the appealing of white besides silence stuff like that.
Yeah.
In like the way that the metagame was prior to yesterday.
Monday's ban, so yeah.
The Monday's ban, we were like, okay, we need green for all these nice removal spells like Assassin's Trophy, Abrupt Decay. Veil Summer is a great get.
Calling Ritual is also like one of the cards that really pull us into like settling on like the Sans White aspect.
Right.
Oh, very much so. And so it's just like, and Carpet of Flowers is another great engine, another great mana advantage engine.
Yeah.
In the beginning, also Sylvan Library.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about Sylvan Library here.
We'll probably touch upon it later why it's not in the deck anymore and why we both personally think it's not a good card.
Yeah.
At least in the way the meta currently is. But
yeah.
That's for later.
Also, well, it did get a little better as of Monday, but
a little, but
yeah.
Like the main issue I had with it still stands, and I will like we'll get deeper into on that later.
Yeah, I was gonna say Culling Ritual. One of the big problems I keep having with the card is that like I'll sometimes have it in hand without an outlet, but this deck gets to really circumvent that because you not only running Nas, you're also running Citadel, obviously, and you have a number of green-black just sort of cards in general. But worst case scenario, you have IKra, right? So Culling Ritual, wiping the board of things holding you down and then resolving an Ikra is like not a bad floor at all.
No, like definitely, like I've definitely had moments in games where like Crown gets killed or something, you get stuck with like seven mana cost or even 9 mana cost in Crown.
Yeah.
And maybe Ikra's out, maybe Ikra's been killed, and then you like if you like can just like slam that Culling Ritual, make like 40 mana, bring both your commanders that are like way expensive back out.
Right.
For like an initial investment, like it's basically only 6 mana because the Culling Ritual gets you for the rest of the way. You just need the blue and the red bit. Like and just getting these big like haymakers with like IKraum are in the mid to late game.
Right.
Back in the play, like at that point you can actually like also like effectively pressure opponents' life totals and force them into making bad decisions, keeping up mana to like bounce the Crown or bounce Ikra back to hand. And, like, at that point, you can just like pressure them on another way, and you gain you're basically attacking for 18 every single turn.
Yeah.
Which is like you're only dealing 7 damage, but you also gain 11 life back. Yeah. And the 18 life point difference that you build up in every time your commanders connect, it adds up.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, Ikra Shidiki's life gain is definitely, if you haven't played against the deck, it's definitely something that just really snowballs and gets out of hand very, very fast and kind of allows, like, for example, when I was playing basically spin-off of this deck, every time I would want to resolve an Oz or a Citadel, I would find that, like, I would be at 20 life and going for those things and not even being sure that I could win the game if I happened to resolve them. Definitely threw me back a lot. Whereas in this deck you have Ikra
this deck has no problem staying at 30, 40, and even 50 plus life all game long.
I once slammed down a Citadel at 54 life, and I was like, and my opponent was like, well, this is not gonna end well.
I had a game like a week back or something where I like slammed down a Citadel. Cast a Mystical Tutor from the top to put an Adnos on top, cast an Adnos from the top, Nos for like 40 life, and still be on 30 life left to cast cards with Citadel.
That's insane.
Like those things aren't, and that isn't even that uncommon. Like using your Necropotence as like a third Tainted Pact or Demonical Station like effect. Also happens. Ikra is like the main enabler for those kind of strategies we have.
Right.
And then also like having access to like Brain Freeze to be able to clear off the top of your library is so important, especially when you don't have like your Crom or your Census Top or your Necropotence, that you're able to clear off the top of your library and just like go for more Citadel nodes. And if you're able to hit your Lionside Diamond or your Underworld Breach while you already have the Brain Freeze in your graveyard, it is so powerful.
Okay, so we mentioned the main engines of this deck. So we have your commanders, obviously, which are gaining you a ton of value. And then there is sort of this top deck plan with reference to, you guys have Sensei's Divining Top in here, Bolas' Citadel, which is obviously the main engine of the deck. It's been mentioned a bunch. And for those who don't know, Sensei's Top and Citadel is actually somewhat of a combo because for any card that's atop of your deck, you can pay the 1 life of Citadel and draw using Top's ability, put Top back on top. So say, for example, if you have 0 mana rocks, you can just play them as Citadel. But if you have like a 5-drop on top, instead of casting it with Citadel, you can play the top, draw it instead, or if you have another land. So it usually, that combination of cards together ends up winning the game. And with this package...
It's like assemble your own Yawgmoth Spark.
Exactly. And then also part of this package is you guys having counterbalance as well, which I 100% think is the sleeper of the format right now. But it's definitely fantastic here.
I think that one of the biggest selling points I could like ever make for like the deck and for the thing that we started doing is like the Esper Doomsday list that we saw also ran counterbalance.
Yeah.
And it did some amount of work, but it wasn't like crazy good or something. It was just like decent.
Yeah.
I think that I just like pushed to like try it, and Dragon like pretty easily also agreed. Let's try it. Like with like how our monogeist format is, and how like almost every deck has like the same exact curve.
Yeah.
Like, Counterbalance is just like on its own, it can be very effective and backbreaking. But like if you can, like as we were saying before, like the deck has like multiple ways to like clear the top of the deck at the instant speed, manipulate the top. We run all the top deck tutors we can that are relevant, except World Deck Tutor, because frankly we do not have any relevant creatures to fetch in our deck. main card in the deck that actually breaks counterbalance is Crown. Like the most common approach to like playing against the counterbalance is to like play a spell you don't really care about into the counterbalance to like check the top.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if you see, for example, you want to resolve a Doom Underworld Breach, just to name a card, you can first lead off with like a Git probe, look at somebody's hand, like see if they have any interaction, and then the top of the deck gets flipped, and if it's like a 2-drop, you know, alright, it's better to like keep the Underworld Breach in hand and go for it later when I know there's not a 2-drop on top.
Exactly.
And if it's like a 1-drop, like alright, yeah, my Git probe gets counted, but still I really care about the Underworld Breach I can resolve.
Yeah.
But what Crown enables us to do, the Crown literally reads every time one of your opponents casts their second spell each turn, you draw a card. So like the whole checking the top of the counterbalance, that requires 2 spells to be blindly cast into it.
Exactly.
It's like in the aforementioned scenario, if they for example cast Git probe, you reveal like a chain of paper. The Git probe gets counted, and they go like, all right, hey, I can cast my Underworld Breach now because there's a 1-drop. And then you draw. But then what you can do, you can stack the counterbalance trigger and the Crown trigger in such a way that the Crown trigger resolves first.
Exactly.
So you draw the card, therefore resetting the top of the deck, and then you can flip again. And we play a pretty big density of 2-drops, so the chances of that being like a Talisman or like Winds of Rebuke or whatever. That whole interaction like pushes counterbalance like to the next level and allows to like really punish people going for it.
Yeah, I every time I see this deck in action, that interaction, it seems like when you talk about it to be such a small interaction, but the ability to like consistently reset the top card of your library with counterbalance out just leaves your opponent guessing, and them not having that confidence basically turns counterbalance into a stacks piece for any spell, which is insane.
It disincentivizes people only casting 1 spell a turn.
Yeah.
It disincentivizes casting 2 spells, but like they're kind of forced to do that. They kind of like what usually happens is like you have 1 or 2 turn cycles where nothing really happens, only you like develop your board a little bit. And then every other turn or so someone will try to do something. Yeah. And it's not that uncommon for our deck to just completely punish that player. Yeah. And even further discourage other players from trying anything.
Oh yeah. And just like being in a more turbo-ish metagame.
Yeah.
Like I feel so much comfortable playing just like running out of counterbalance because like running mana cost, average mana cost, and this is about 1.3, right? 1.3.
It's on the deck right now. It is 1.24 without ad nauseum, 1.28 with it.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
So like, it's just like, okay, I can just run out a counterbalance and it can legit just like be a backbreaking card. Because like majority of the cards are just getting like kind of half the table.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like I think Ian, I don't know if you recall, but we played like beginning of like more close to the beginning of the MLC.
Yeah.
When this was still Citadel of Doomless, we played with like Million and David.
Yeah.
And you were on Paco Helden, and I was in first seat and just slammed down a turn 1 counterbalance.
Oh yeah, it's ruined the game.
And Million went to like cast Soaring or something into it, and I flipped a 1 CMC spell.
Yeah.
And you and David just both played a land and said go.
Yeah, because I had I had 2 mana dorks in hand. Yeah.
And at that point, what you basically just did, you paid 2 mana for time bomb.
Yeah, which is absolutely insane.
And that card is bad.
It amazed me how much people just like disregard it, even though it's like, no, this card is insane.
Yeah.
It's just like nobody wants to play a double blue spell enchantment.
And also just like the amount of times that the counterbalance, like it's not that rare for our counterbalance to counter anywhere between 10 and 20 or upwards of that spells.
Yeah.
But if it stays around for like a while, or like either we win before it reaches that number, or it just like sticks there around and counters 1 or 2 spells every game.
Any mid-range game, I've seen it, like your deck specifically, I've seen this card counter like 15-20 spells. Like it's wild the amount of work it puts in for 2 mana.
A huge fan of the card, but I also think like you should think twice before putting it in your deck. But like, because I think that one of the main things that makes counterbalance tick in our deck is the availability of Crown in the command zone. And our deck like already playing like a very top deck heavy plan.
Yeah.
And, like allowing us to really capitalize on it, and that allows us to push counters from like a card that will counter like 3 to 5 spells.
Yeah.
Consistent to like a card that will counter close to 10 spells.
Yeah.
I've even had counterbalance functions like a pseudo science for one player across an entire game. You did not resolve a single spell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Citadel is like a great way to win the game. Like if you can chain enough spells together, you can just win the game and assemble like the boards that can just win.
Right.
But like Citadel isn't a guaranteed hey, I win the game now card. It's also often if you play Citadel and like you spend like 1 or 2 turns spinning your wheels before you're actually able to like assemble a game-winning position.
Right.
Especially since we went down in the down in the amount of actual ways to win. We only have Thoracle and Brain Freeze now.
Right.
That like that kind of allowed us to streamline the deck a bit more, play some more interaction.
Yeah.
But it also means that you have to be more careful about when you're actually pursuing your win, pursuing your lines.
And one thing I want to expand upon it there is that, as you said, sometimes Bolus Citadel doesn't win that turn, but for anyone listening in the audience, I want them to sort of get the picture that despite the fact that you're not immediately in that winning position, what you do gain is a ridiculous amount of interaction in this deck, because this deck is by far not light on interaction at all. Because of that, you can basically use your Citadel to guarantee that no one else is winning while you're still gaining all that advantage on your turn. So it's not just like Citadel resolves and you just kind of sit there and you're like, okay, play a 6-mana thing, pass for my turn, hope nobody wins. It's not like that whatsoever.
The more recent inclusions of like the banning of Overture hurt it a little bit, like that control plan from the top. But like more recent inclusions, like for example, Emergence Zone Crop Rot really allows to choose opportune moments to go for it and like really abuse the Citadel interaction to the best of our abilities. Like we only need, like in the end, you only need to find a Thoracle on a top deck tutor and wait if you're a Citadel, or like have a Thoracle in play and find some combination of cards to get there, or just flip it to Underworld Breach, of course, or Meme Betrayal if somebody else has something. But in the end, that's like all it takes to win. Yeah. And how we get there, like this deck is pretty well equipped to like just, especially when you like, if you don't think you can go for it or win with it, when you have like some pieces like lying around, then just tutor up your counterbalance and hardcore start controlling the board from there. Yeah. Like if you manage to layer together like a Citadel, counterbalance, a IKraum, and a Heuristic Study or something. Yeah. And no one's doing anything in that. Yeah. We only play like the highest of the best, like the cream of the crop as far as creatures go.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm currently filtering through those there on the screen right now. So really the big ones: Opposition Agent, obviously Haymaker, Oracle, obvious include anything blue-black, Fimage. How's that been for you guys in this deck? And obviously it's a great card.
Fimage fills a unique role in that because we play Citadel and one of our main ways to win is Thoracle plus Console. Yeah. For that to work, you have to have a Thoracle and then cast, either have a Console on top of your deck or in your hand. Yeah. And that sometimes is hard to do with Citadel. Yeah, makes sense. And what really helps there is like sometimes you just if you flip your Thoracle, it's very nice to just be able to cast it and like have devotion equal to blue equal to 3 or 4. Right. Look at the top 3 or 4 cards. Pick the best one out of there. Yeah. Put that on top and the rest on the bottom. Exactly. And then you get to cast that card at the top of Citadel. Makes sense. Yeah. And like at that point, you like this deck sometimes just like aggressively wants to cast Thoracle for value to like get somewhere. Yeah. And at that point, having a Phantasmal Image that serves as a second copy of Thoracle is actually clutch. Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, like one of the monkey is probably like my favorite card in the list. Yeah. Like that's outside of like Citadel and all that fun stuff. Like honestly, like because it can do so much. Yeah. For very little investment.
Ragavan's very strong. It is one of those. It's a new version of basically something that's existed before, which is there have been very few times that cEDH hands can be keepable with early permanence, and it's often things like Counterbalance turn 1, absolutely insane. Anytime you get a Heuristic Study, you can get turn 1, absolutely insane. But Ragavan especially is kind of crazy because it's a mana and a card advantage engine that you can just play on turn 1 without any acceleration. That's the wild part for me about it, is that it You can play a City of Brass and play a Ragavan and then pass your turn, and that makes a hand acceptable.
You can still connect turn 2.
Yeah, exactly. And not only it cards like this make mulligans way easier, right? Because you can have a hand that's got a bunch of like 1 and 2 mana stuff, but it feels slow, right? Like you can have a hand with like a Swan Song and then a 2 mana spell, and you're like, great, but I'm not going to do anything in this pod. However, a card like Ragavan, you're like, yeah, that's my 1-drop, that's my turn, and then that gets me more gas going forward. So like, boom, that's it, and I don't need to invest any more mana into it. So between that and Esper Sentinel, there's a lot of these like early creatures coming out right now that are just immediate turn 1 investments that will gain you just a lot of value for that small investment.
I would not keep like the 7 or a second 7 or a second 7 or even a 6 that just played the Ragavan turn 1 probably.
Oh really? I would 100%.
It really depends on like how often I can expect Ragavan to connect.
Yeah, that's also fair.
But like all in all, like I kind of want my hand to like actively do something besides just ramp. Like if my hand is basically just ramp and like 1 single drag piece or something.
Yeah.
I want it to be enough ramp to like get me up to ground mana. At turn 1 to 2.
Yeah, like we always like I always like we were joking about this the other day. I was like, okay, so as long as we can make a turn 1 and turn 2, probably should be good.
Yeah. Speaking of opening hands, I feel like this is a good time. We have a general idea of like the composition of the deck, sort of the play patterns mentioned. We don't have to go through every card category. I guess before we go into that, let's talk about some of the spicier options we have in here, and then we can move into mulligans. Yeah. The one that sticks out to me definitely is Mindbreak Trap.
Okay, this is deep idea, so I have nothing to do with it.
This is my fault, maybe. One of the biggest issues that you kind of run into with Citadel sometimes is flipping into a counter spell.
Sure.
That sucks real bad. And CEDH counter magic, especially free magic, counter magic, is at a premium, and you want as many of those effects as you can get.
Yeah.
But every time you rip, like, look at top of your Citadel and go like, ah, fuck, this is a forcible.
Yeah.
Or oh, shit, it's forcible. Like, keep it PG and stuff. It's not the best feeling if your combo turn gets stopped because you flip into like a count spell you can't cast.
Yeah.
This is the same reason why we're also on Pyroblast and on Dragun and Gustav, especially Pyroblast over Red Elemental Blast.
Yeah.
As Pyroblast always has a target because it just says destroy our permanent if it's blue.
If it's
blue,
it makes
it a little bit worse in the face of the collecting spot.
Right.
But I mean, I found that it's usually not right to live in fear of those cards. Like there are enough cards that get hit by the effects that you also play.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like having one more that gets hit by it's just totally fine.
Yeah.
But Mindbreak Trap is another one of those cards that like it's very, very, very good against breach decks.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't counter the spell. It says exile any number of target spells.
Yes.
So what you do if somebody goes for like they play like their Unroll Breach, play like an LED, there's maybe a mini counter war over the Unroll Breach and Unroll Breach resolves.
Yeah.
And then they go for like their they go for like their Brain Freeze, and you just slam down a Mindbreak Trap and target all the copies.
Yeah.
And at that point, if they don't have the mana to like interact at that point, because like you typed awkwardly, they thought they were in the clear or something.
Mm-hmm.
You just get to exile every single copy of Brain Freeze, including the original one.
Yeah.
And you just hardcore stop their combo. You can also hit the LED with it.
Yeah. Not to mention, at that point, this is free, too.
It's free. Yeah, it's free. Like, you don't pay the 4 mana for it. It's 0. It doesn't even cost you a card in your hand, which is very, very nice. Because, like, that was one of my main issues with Force Negation.
Yeah.
Like, both Mindbreak Trap and Force Negation usually will not be free in your hand.
Yeah.
Force Negation never is. Mindbreak Trap in some rare instances is.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But like they're usually free when somebody's trying to do some broken damage shenanigans stuff. And,
it's generally like what we're trying to like prevent. Like we're trying like at face value, this is a pseudo turbo Citadel Nautilus, no matter what anybody want to call it. Because like I remember people were like looking at our list initially, they're like, so this is a turbo Nautilus with like. Then I'm like, it's a turbo Nautilus, with a bunch of interaction.
Yeah.
That doesn't leave you completely dead to
And
other
like
routes.
way more layers than just a basic turbo NAS or turbo P, like search, find beta, cast beta, hope to draw a win.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Like,
a lot more akin to what Opus Thief has kind of become, which is recognizing the fact that going fast is very strong, but also not sacrificing quality interaction. I also like that you guys are on Deluge, which I think shows a lot of respect to the current meta and what it actually looks like in an open sense. I think it's indicative of the fact that there's just a lot of stuff running around.
Well, I will always respect hate bears no matter what format I play in.
Yeah,
Deluge is just like one of those. It's just like catch all. Like like you can like it's 2 and a black, but like easy and like you're gonna have to pay a hefty life cost, especially when you're playing it's like Kenrith stacks.
Yeah.
Or like with IKraum, like you can easily alleviate all that pressure on your life total.
Yep.
Just because you're gaining 7, 14, 21 life just from IKraum itself.
Yep.
Then you can still be able to like kill every hate bear on board. Like Lavinia is always going to give us problems. Voidwalker.
Yep.
Just to name a few, is like Toxic Deluge is such a pivotal part of any black strategy that I feel like if you're able to play the card, play it, and so you don't get caught with your pants down.
Yeah.
Against these hate bear strategies.
And this is like what you mentioned, with this is also another part where I know a lot of people that just play like regular Gracie stacks or like even like again like Sans Green Turbo NAS decks, like blue from like Albert IKraum's pairings. That are like just like looking at like things like Fire Covenant and Toxic, hey, those cards are like I recognize their effects pretty powerful, but like they cost life, and I need my life to keep my NASs high and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Keep my Necropotence life and other things that cost life. And this is where this is just like one aspect where like IKraum comes in very, very clutch. As we can just like throw our life around as a resource, like we don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Because like we have a commander that allows to like IKraum and IKraum like both have evasive keywords and can almost always connect somewhere. And like the level of life you gain every single turn is like usually more than other CEDH decks can present as pressure against you.
Yeah.
So that allows us just like take full advantage of stuff like we can go deep with NAS without winning and just like slowly build our life back up. We can throw like 9 life into Toxic Deluge and not be worried that that doing that will keep us up NAS for the rest of the game.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because with IKraum, that's just a non-issue. I think I know this is a deck tech video, but I think this is also like a good place to like also mention what beats us. And I think like just like we're just like any regular old NAS deck. Yes, we can gain big chunks of life,
right?
But crashing our life total still makes us think twice about doing certain things.
Yeah, exactly. Forcing you to play IKraum and forcing you to play IKraum when instead you maybe want to be developing a Citadel or something like that definitely is a way to throw the deck back on its feet.
I think looking at time, I think we should take a look at some other ones.
Yeah. So the first one is Cabal Ritual, Lion's Eye Diamond, Mindbreak Trap, Taiga, Underground Sea, Dockside, and Arid Mesa.
I'd chip it.
Yeah, it feels real slow. Now Dockside obviously in certain pods is like pretty good, but
yeah, but like we don't have a payoff for the mana besides casting our commander. And at that point, I don't like turn to Dockside without anything else.
Agreed. All right, second hand we have Brainstorm, Mnemonic Betrayal, Watery Grave, Guardianship, Mana Confluence, Breach, and a Bloodstained Mire. This also feels pretty.
It's also an easy no.
Yeah.
It just doesn't do enough things fast
enough.
No fast
mana, no permanent fast mana. Like it doesn't have like a Deathrite Shaman to help interact with it.
Let's go to, all right, this is our 6. We have a Phantasmal Image, Gemstone Caverns, a Jeweled Lotus, Ponder, Soul Ring, Wooded Foothills, and a Morphic Pool.
Keep him.
This is a keep.
Yeah. Obviously, depending on what turn order, depends on like how insane this hand is, because you're either keeping that gemstones or I assume bottoming it if you are not going. If you're going first,
you keep it, like with the Soul Ring and Jewel Lotus there.
Yeah.
Like you have a guaranteed turn to crown.
Right.
Basically, it's interesting what you bottom though if you're like not in, if you're second, for example.
Right.
Because I think it might be correct to like bottom your phantasmal image, pitch a land. I think you pitch the Wooded Foothills because you want to draw an additional land.
Sure, makes sense.
And you don't want to fetch another, like, we're only at 27, so you don't want to fetch a land out of the deck, so you keep the Morphle pool.
Yeah.
And then just slam down Jewel Lotus, cast Ground.
Yeah.
And then next turn, ponder into, like, hopefully something.
Yeah, agreed. Oh, well, this one's a pretty easy keep. We have a Mana Crypt, a Flusterstorm, Arid Mesa, Demonic Consultation, Felwar Stone, Arcane Signet, and Morphic Pool.
This feels like a keep.
Yeah.
Depending on how funky you feel, you can you obviously can hold up. You like play all your rocks out turn 1, and then have like 1 mana to do what as you please.
Yeah.
And like depending on how funky you want to get, you could theoretically consult for Admals on your end step.
Sure. Yeah.
It might be a little greedy. I'd probably like just play it safe, keep the mana for Flusterstorm, play it turn 2 Crown, hold back. Like I think at that point we even get to keep mana back.
Yeah.
2 rocks.
Easy 7. All right. Well, this one's a no-lander, so we're just gonna not waste your time. All right. Second 7. This feels like ship to me. It's Manamorphose, Consult, Snow-Covered Island, Wooded Foothills, Transmute, Artifact, Polluted Delta, Marsh Flats.
Yeah,
that's easy ship. Okay, interesting. Second 7 is Snow-Covered Island, Watery Grave, Deathrite Shaman, Vamp Tutor, Mana Vault, Culling Ritual, Simian Spirit Guide.
This at the very least produces a turn 2 Crown.
So you can hold the Simian if you don't want to play Mana Vault turn 1. Yeah, you're right.
But if you use Simian to power out Mana Vault turn 1, which I think is probably still the correct play to make, you still have 2 lands and a Mana Vault, so you have a guaranteed turn 2 Crown there.
Yeah.
And you have the Vamp Tutor to fetch whatever you want.
Culling Ritual is obviously very good.
There's something to be said about just playing a land, not casting a Deathrite.
Yeah.
But I think it's correct to play the Deathrite because you can just assume somebody's going to play a fetch, and then when you're up to the tutor for just Vamp Tutor for Admals, Gem Admals turn 2.
Especially in a like if it's like a more turbo-ish pod, I would just be like inclined to just not have to pass the Deathrite Shaman.
Still be inclined to play the Deathrite, but I don't think I would Vamp Tutor for Admals there. I think I would just cast Ground, hold up a mana to use the Vamp Tutor to tutor up a Fierce Guardianship if the worst comes to worst.
Feels like a pretty easy keep. All right, let's find our last keepable 7. Or, well, keepable hand, I should say. We have a Wishclaw, Forbidden Orchard, Arid Mesa, Flusterstorm, Foothills, Breach, and Abrupt Decay. This hand also feels pretty slow to me. Yeah.
No, like, I like my hands to have at least a path to make at least 4 mana by turn 2.
Yeah, makes sense. Alright, so our second 7 is, it's a Yawgmoth's Will, a Gamble, an Underground Sea, Douthie Voidwalker, Windswept Teeth, Polluted Delta, and Imp Seal.
If you're not expecting a too fast of a pot, you can keep it. It's a bit weird because you don't really have, you have like the Yawgle, you have the tutor, you have 3 lands, Delta Voidwalker, and a tutor. And like you don't have really like any way to interact in hand. Yeah. And like you don't have really a ramp plan, like you have to tutor for everything.
Yes, fair.
You get like the Doughty Voidwalker, so like if you like really expect a more grindy play, like you can probably make hand work just on the power level that 2 tutors have.
The decks are like if the decks are like turn bazillion decks, I can probably see that.
Yeah, I definitely consider though just Imp Sealing for Jewel Lotus turn.
That's exactly what my thought was. Yeah. Yes. Imp Seal for Jewel Lotus and then go from there. All right, so we sound kind of medium on that one. So let's get a hand we're a little more confident on. So we're at 6 here. We have Assassin's Trophy, Noxious Revival, Simian Spirit Guide, City of Brass, Taiga, Brain Freeze, and Winds of Rebuke.
Yeah.
Should throw it away. Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're going to 5. All right, our 5 is a no-lander. Okay, we're going to 4.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. Although this is pretty decent for a 4. We have a Dark Ritual, a Command Tower, a Crop Rotation, an Underworld Breach, a Sente's Divining Top, an Ad Nauseam, and a Volcanic Island.
Oh boy.
Yeah. It's a tough 4.
I can handle a lot more if the Volcanic Island was a green source.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it would be infinitely better.
What you can do then is turn 2,
Crop Rot for Ancient Tomb. Yep.
And you cast a Dark Ritual of the black source you have, Command Tower, and then play an Elf turn 2.
Yeah.
I'd probably keep it banking on that fact.
Sure.
Like, it's a 4-card hand that potentially produces a win in turn 2.
Yeah, exactly.
And it doesn't need much to do that.
So you would been, what would you? So you would have to keep Command Tower.
You keep Command Tower, Etnos, Dark Red, Grove.
Oh, okay. So you just get rid of it and hope you draw a green source.
Yeah.
Ballsy.
Honestly,
Oh, and we draw a Scalding Tarn. We draw a Scalding Tarn.
Honestly,
yeah.
For me, I would like.
Yeah, never punished, right?
Never punished.
You gotta have faith in your deck sometimes, because like a good chunk of our lands, like almost all of our lands are capable of either producing green or producing black. Like those are also just, sometimes you just have to play the odds, and I think this is like one of those examples. Like,
do the best you can with a 4,
you can
basically.
With 3,
yeah.
But you can also just jam a Nos turn 2 and hope for the best.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Like, especially if you're like first in turn order or something, and if you just go land pass.
Yeah. People are not going to expect that from you, right?
And you're on a mulligan at 4, like, yeah, sorry guys, just on a multi-4.
Yeah.
Don't have anything.
Right.
So you can also play the innocent role there and just like then still pull a turn 2 Nos out of your ass and like go like 40 cards, go like 30 cards deep and hope to get something.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're running a little low on time here, so I am going to call it there. Dragun and Gustav, thank you so much for coming on and talking about your very awesome deck.
Yeah, no problem.
I don't think we've actually even said during this recording, this is the at least the evolution of what you took to the top 4 of Playing with Power's patron tournament too. So that's definitely notable success here. So the deck's been performing really well. If you guys want to hear more about it, we'll leave the deck in the description down below. You can follow us on the updates. This deck was brewed in the ComedIan MTG Discord. There is a channel specifically for this deck. We've started having a brewer section where it's just different decks have their own channels now, and this was the first one. It is under Citadel Simps, so you can go check that out there.
Like, I think as far as the deck goes, if you'd ask me or Dragun what we would bring to the tournament, I think we both would say without a doubt IKraum Citadel.
Nice. Yeah, like if I was able to go to Denmark for the Tier 1 con, I would definitely bring this deck.
Sweet.
Yeah, same. I'm going and I am playing this deck.
Yeah. So thank you guys for joining me on this deck tech. If you guys want to check out more videos like this, feel free to check out the channel or any of our previous videos. While you're here, if you like content like this, you want to see more amazing people bring on their decks and their pet decks and specialties, feel free to go down and hit like and subscribe. It helps the algorithm know that you like these things. And if you guys are feeling extra generous like Gustav has been and many other people, you can go check out patreon.com/ComedIanMTG. And thanks, buddy. And help support the channel, helps keep the lights on, all that nonsense. But thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys for being amazing guests. And also, while I have you here, do not forget about Tier 1 Con. It is going to be the event of the year, if not one of the greatest cEDH events of all time. cEDH main event. The top 4 of this tournament are either going to split 10 revised duels, or with 250 players, the top player will get a time twister. This tournament is insane. There are side events. There are so many amazing things. If you want to learn more details about this, check out my video where I have You Can Call Me Jay, a fantastic member of the community and one of the organizers for this event and this tournament, on the show, and we break down the whole thing. So check that out and check out Tier 1 Con. It's going to be one of the biggest cEDH events of all time. So please come support it. It's amazing. To everyone out there, have an amazing week. Peace.
Yeah, peace.
Peace.